My name is Ruben Torres from the Reality of God Ministries. I'm recollecting some thoughts, attempting to sow a seed in somebody's life. Hopefully, this will encourage many to walk in faith, hope, and love. I wanted to speak about the topic of freedom, staying free. We human beings seem to be driven towards addictions. So it's almost like our makeup is to be addictive in behavior. We like repetitions. We resist change. We walk away from anything that might be a new experience. And we are most likely to act the way we act the way before we are introduced to familiar environments, relationships, situations. Just go to a restaurant, you order the same food. Go to a church, you always sit in the same area or even the same seat. We like to go through the motions. This is fine. This removes the burden of having to deal with new situations. But what about when this leads to bondage? What about when there's habits, behavior, thoughts, emotions that I don't like, and now I'm in bondage to? I'm beginning to repeat them over and over again, and I don't seem to be aware of them, but after the fact that it's already over or done. Now there's guilt, there's shame, there's destructive behavior in my life, and I don't know how to get rid of it. Well, one of the things that we need to learn is that we're most likely to fall into temptation, sin, or to fall into addictive behavior either when we're focusing upon it, when we think we have already overcome it. Isn't that interesting that the more we suppress something, the more we reinforce it, and when we think we have risen above it, that's when we lower our defenses and we invite that situation to creep into our lives again. So how do we stay free? How do we remain in freedom? Well, the solution is to take your focus into something greater or something more attractive. We can say it superficially, even though it might sound too simplistic, that the way to replace a habit or a bad behavior is by substituting it for another one, a greater one, a more attractive one. So the focus is to take our attention away from that behavior, not to lower our defenses or not to think that it has been already taken care of because we're not repeating it as often, but to develop a new habit, to begin to put our energy, effort, thoughts into something that is fulfilling, satisfying, and is energizing our lives towards the direction that we desire to pursue. And if we are believers, if Christ is into our hearts, if we have experienced a relationship with God, this should not be difficult because there's so many exciting things that we can do in God that are always going to keep us pursuing excellence, growth, maturity, beauty, truthfulness, and purity in our own personal walk. Habits are things that we do as we are accustomed to it. I tell people that behind every action, there's the reformation of your character and the initiation of a new habit. Translation, whatever you do, you're going to do it again. And next time, your resistance is going to be lower. It's going to be easier for you to repeat it, and it's going to be harder for you to overcome it or walk away from it. Because there was a reformation, there was a transformation in the process of your engaging in that behavior. Something changed in your psyche, in your mind. You have to give reasons continually to your mind of why you behave the way you're behaving. Because if you don't, then your mind is going to make up a reason for itself. Your brain and your mind is a powerful thing. It will pull from your subconscious, from your memory, from your emotions, and gather data and give an explanation for why you're behaving that way. And without you being aware of it, when those conditions, when those explanations, when those thoughts of subconscious and emotion and memories are repeated, you begin to behave that behavior because your subconscious is going to do it out of habit now. So that's when I behave, I must stop and say, wait, I don't want to reform my character towards this direction. And I got to give reasons, expose the reasons why. Why did I burst in anger? Maybe because I have not eaten and it's late in the day and I'm having stress in my mind. So I need to address that issue. So stress is removed. Emotions are controlled. I watch myself that I don't go late into night without having rest, proper rest. And I try to take care of my physical body and have nutrition in my life. So therefore, though that behavior is not repeated again. I give myself reasons that expose my behavior. And that's important because behind every action, there's the reformation of my character. And the initiation of a new habit. Translation, I'm going to do it over and over again unless I stop myself and I address, why am I thinking? What are the reasons that are controlling my behavior? And staying free should be a habit. Just because I overcome a behavior doesn't mean it's not going to come back. Because habits can become cycles. There's people that overcome things for a year, and then after a year they repeat their behavior over and again, and they live their life from year to year in a cycle. Sometimes cycles and habits become patterns, and that's when the personality is affected. You begin to like the behavior. You want the cycle to come back. You want, when things are beginning to walk better in your life and you begin to experience freedom, you immediately, without no reason, run back into bondage. Just because now you're in a pattern, now your character, who you are, your personality as a person is beginning to be affected. You're beginning to depend on the behavior. It's almost like you enjoy it. You see this with wives that are abused by their husband. Sometimes they have the courage to walk away from that bad relationship, yet they are inclined to go back to a man that does the same thing. How can that be? Because the cycle and the habit has become a pattern. And syndromes is when people become sick. Sometimes they need medication. You're out of yourself now. It's almost like you don't have no control whatsoever in what your behavior is that is causing destruction in your life is doing to you. And that's very dangerous. We need to walk in freedom. Speak to ourselves. Watch what we're thinking. Be aware of the solution, which is to walk away from that behavior by thinking upon new things, thinking upon new habits, focusing in our lives in something that is greater, more beautiful, more fulfilling. And that's the way we can stay in freedom. Hopefully this word will sow a seed in somebody's life, will encourage them towards faith, hope, and love. If I'm blessing anybody, let me know, because I'm praying that all of us will experience total fulfillment and realization for our lives. God bless you.